Okay, so here we go with part 3. Recommended amount of dietary fiber is 20 to 35 grams per day. Your patient should always read nutrition labels and determine the number of grams of dietary fiber per serving. Some of the sources, which we talked about earlier, fruits and vegetables, particularly those with seeds or skins. Prunes and prune juice have very high fiber content. So those are really good sources of dietary fiber. Some other sources: fruits, beans, vegetables, unprocessed wheat bran. 1 to 2 tablespoons can be mixed with food. 1 to 2 tablespoons of wheat bran contains approximately 1.6 grams of fiber. Adding hot fiber to the diet can also cause bloating or gas, so you want to encourage your patients to do that in small amounts, in a slow way. If people have irritable bowel syndrome, they may not be able to tolerate fiber supplements. So those people with irritable bowel syndrome will do better not increasing their fiber in their diet. Low residue or low fiber diets are used for people who need a easier to digest diet. Eating these foods may also slow down bowel movements or slow down the action of their bowel. This diet includes foods that are used that you use to eat, like cooked vegetables, fruits, white breads, meats. It does not include things that make your bowels work more, like beans, legumes, raw vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, grains. It's trying to reduce the amount of fiber you eat, so only 10 to 15 grams of fiber a day. Patients with diverticulitis, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative colitis, and also bowel inflammation of some kind, are often put on a low residue diet in order to rest the colon. Some patients with an ileostomy or colostomy, may be put onto a low residue diet for short periods of time or for the rest of their life, depending on how well they're able to pass stool and if the fiber is clogging up their ostomy. So those patients may need a low residue diet that's low in fiber because it may cause a blockage of that ostomy. What they can eat on a low residue diet, it's still possible for them to eat, for some of these foods to upset their system, but milk products, they can have up to 2 cups of milk a day, which includes yogurt, cottage cheese, milk pudding or cream soups, or 1.5 ounces of hard cheese. They should avoid any milk products that have things like nuts or seeds or fruits, or vegetables added, or breads and grains. They want refined white breads. They don't want whole grains, grain with the whole grain or nuts or seeds in them. They want dry cereals like Special K or puffed rice, cornflakes, Rice Krispies. They want to eat white pasta and crackers. They want to make sure that these things that they're eating have less than 0.5 gram of fiber per serving. They shouldn't eat whole grain breads, crackers, cereals, whole wheat pasta, or brown rice. They want to look for the things that are the lowest in fiber content when they're picking out things that they want to eat. So vegetables that they can eat, raw lettuce, onions, cucumbers, and zucchini. Those have a high water content, so they have a lower fiber content. They can eat these vegetables if they're well cooked or canned, but they can only eat them without the seeds. And they can also drink juices made from them, but only if they do not contain the seeds or pulp. So yellow squash, spinach, pumpkin, eggplant, potatoes, without the skins, green beans, beets, asparagus, wax beans, and carrots. They should not be eating any vegetable that's not on the list above, and they should not eat vegetables raw if they're on the cooked list. They should avoid vegetable sauces with seeds, such as tomato sauce. They should not eat popcorn because of the hulls in the popcorn that causes a lot of fiber, and that can be very hard on their colon. They can eat fruit juices without pulp, and many canned fruits or fruit sauces, such as applesauce. Raw fruits, they can have ripe apricots, bananas, cantaloupe, honeydew melon, watermelon, a lot of these fruits, but they should avoid all other raw fruits. They should avoid things like raw pineapple, figs, berries, because berries have a lot of seeds in them, and those seeds can be very rough on their large intestine, and they should avoid prunes and prune juice because they are high in fiber. Proteins, they can eat any cooked meats, fish, poultry. They should avoid things like deli meat, crunchy peanut butter, nuts, beans, tofu. They can eat butter, margarine, mayonnaise, whipped cream, smooth sauces, and smooth condiments are okay too. They should stay away from spicy foods and dressings and avoid chunky relish and pickles because they're going to have skins on them, and that's going to be also a lot of fiber. They can also eat plain cake, cookies, pies, jellos, but they shouldn't have nuts in them or coconut. And they should avoid chocolate that contains cocoa powder. They should also avoid caffeine, and they should talk to their doctor about alcohol. High protein diet. Protein, of course, we need for ourselves, and the average person needs about 50 to 65 grams of protein each day, which we talked about earlier. Protein from meats and other animal products are complete proteins. And this means they supply all of the amino acids the body can't make on its own. Plant proteins are incomplete, except, of course, from soybeans, because you can get all 9 amino acids from soybeans. So you must combine them to get all the amino acids your body needs. That's why people eat beans and rice, because that can be combined to make a complete protein. The amount in 4 ounces of meat plus a cup of cottage cheese is enough to give you your grams of protein. For the day. Most of the diets aren't balanced in terms of essential nutrients that our body needs. Some are high protein and emphasize foods like meats, eggs, and cheeses, which are rich in proteins and saturated fat. Some restrict important carbohydrates in favor of proteins. So if you follow it for a long time, they can have potential health problems. If you're eating too much protein and you're not eating enough carbohydrates, then it can actually cause you to form ketones in your urine, or release them into the bloodstream and then eventually into the urine, and that's called ketosis. High protein animal foods are usually also high in saturated fats, so eating large amounts of high fat foods for a sustained period raises the risk of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and cancers. So you don't want to use excess protein. Can also risk kidney and liver disorders, osteoporosis. So high protein diets for long periods of time aren't really healthy. High carbohydrate diets that include fruits, vegetables, non-fat dairy products, and whole grains have been used to reduce blood pressure, and limiting these foods may raise blood pressure by reducing the intake of calcium. People who stay on these diets very long may not get enough vitamins and minerals and face other potential risks. So there are some risks involved with some of these different diets if you're staying on them too long and not getting a balanced diet. Now, a renal diet A renal diet you may need to make changes to your diet when you have chronic renal disease. It may be limiting fluid, eating lower protein, but the renal diet is really based on the person and what the person's body is able to do, how much the kidneys are able to filter out, what their electrolyte levels, mineral and fluid levels are in the body. And people in dialysis need this special diet so that they limit the buildup of waste products in their body. If they don't have a problem eating carbohydrates, then those are a good source of energy from things like fruits and breads and grains, as well as fiber, minerals, and vitamins. If needed, they can even eat high-calorie desserts such as pies, cakes, and cookies, as long as they limit desserts made with dairy, chocolate, nuts, and bananas. For a renal diet, fats can be a good source of calories. Make sure to use monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats like olive oil, canola oil, and safflower oil because that's better for their heart. Low protein diets can be helpful before they start dialysis. Calcium and phosphorus should be checked often in patients on a renal diet. Phosphorus levels in the blood can get too high, and this can cause low calcium. And it'll cause the body to pull calcium from the bones, which can make the bones weaker and more likely to break, and also itching. They have to limit dairy foods that they eat because these contain large amounts of phosphorus. This includes milk, yogurt, and cheese. Some dairy foods are lower in phosphorus, and that includes things like margarine, butter, cream cheese, heavy cream, ricotta, cheese, brie, sherbet, and non-dairy toppings. And some fruits and vegetables contain only small amounts of phosphorus, but contain a lot of potassium, so they have to be careful with that as well. They may have to take a calcium supplement and vitamin D to control the balance of calcium and phosphorus. So fluids, they may not have to limit their fluids. That's going to depend on the patient. Reducing sodium in their diet helps control high blood pressure, and normal levels of potassium are needed to help keep the heart beating steadily. Too much potassium can build up when the kidneys are no longer functioning, so that can be dangerous for heart rhythm, which can lead to death. And people with advanced kidney failure can also have anemia issues, which will mean they'll need extra iron. Phenylalanine is another diet for people that need to be treated for buildup of phenylalanine. So if they have to be treated for that, they're usually born with that, and they have to be treated with that from birth. So that's a lifelong diet. They're missing an enzyme called phenylalanine hydroxylase, which is needed to break down an essential amino acid called phenylalanine, and it's found in foods that contain protein. And so what happens is those people now have to eat a diet that's lower in protein. If this condition is untreated, or foods containing phenylalanine are not avoided, a musty odor can be detected in the breath and the skin and the urine. It builds up in the body, and they can actually have trouble with development as children. Treatment involves a diet that is extremely low in phenylalanine, particularly when the child is growing, and the diet must be strictly followed. So that it's a diet for life, and it's become a standard recommended by most experts. It's especially important before conception and throughout pregnancy. It's in milk, eggs, and other common foods. The sweetener NutraSweet also contains phenylalanine. Alright, we're going to do one more that will be culture.